Hello and welcome back to TechNuovo. My name's Steph, and today we are taking a look at Robocop Rogue City, which is a brand new Unreal Engine 5 game on Steam at the moment, and we're going to be testing its performance on the Steam Deck, running through various graphical settings and testing out the frame rates that you can achieve from those different settings. And as usual, for full transparency, to let you know how we're recording, I've got my Steam Deck over there on my Everlart dock. That is running into my game capture card, my Elgato capture card that you can see just underneath there, which is a HD 60, something like that. That is then being picked up by OBS, which I am also using my monitor here as a full screen preview so I can see what I am doing inside of the game. So here we are in the main menu for Robocop Rogue City. So before we start the game, I'm just going to run through the graphical settings that the game has decided to give us on the Steam Deck. So if I jump into the options menu, you can see that everything has been auto-detected. We're running at Windows full screen, VSync is off. We have got AMD FSR 2.2 on, although you have got Intel XeSS, TAA, TSR, but we're sticking to FSR 2.2. The upscaling is set to quality on the AMD FSR 2.2 settings, and we're running a custom graphics preset. So if I scroll to the bottom of this menu so you can see everything here. So post-processing is low, shadows is low, textures, effects, chromatic aberration, let's get that turned off. Textures and effects is low, turning off chromatic aberration, turning off motion blur. Frame rate cap is set to, if I just turn off my camera quickly, frame rate cap is set to unlimited, and high quality lumen reflections are turned off. So let's apply those settings. Let's dive into the Steam Deck performance menu very quickly, just so you can see what I am running. So yes, let's have a look at the performance. A performance overlay at the moment is on 2, doesn't really matter. Frame rate limit is set to 60 on there. Allow tearing, half rate shading, TDP limit, manual GPU clock is all turned off at the moment. Scaling filter is set to linear, though we could potentially set that to also an FSR as well, just to try and increase those frame rate limit as much as possible. But let's keep it on linear at the moment. Yeah, there we go. Let's jump into the game. So during this cutscene at the moment, we are looking at 23 FPS, not as high as I would like it. And I'm not sure if that bodes well for actual gameplay, but we will see. So we have finally managed to get inside of the game, and it looks to be running a very steady 30 FPS. So of course, being on an extremely low graphical setting, you can notice, especially with the ground, when you're moving around, it looking extremely pixelated. But hey, it's still, at the moment, a playable game. Being Robocop, of course, you're going to be walking very slowly. Robocop doesn't run for anyone. Just to let you know as well, I am on a games controller. I never usually play games on a games controller, but I didn't want to set up a mouse and keyboard to play some Robocop, so I am on a games controller. So now we are in a little bit of action. We are getting a solid 30, although, as I say, the actual resolution quality isn't the nicest, but it's still playable, right? It's smooth. I don't know how I've turned that on. Oh, there you go. It's still smooth gameplay. I'm impressed. Text is readable. Pistol 9mm. I can see that. No aiming down the sight, but I'm Robocop, so that doesn't matter. Oh, I got a very funny punch. Your fist just kind of appears on the screen. Destructible, somewhat destructible environments. Not causing too much issue to my FPS, but as I say, it's locked pretty tightly in at 30. Have I locked that in? Let me just double check that just in case I've locked that in anywhere. I don't think I have. No. This is quite a a disturbing game. I didn't think Robocop was this disturbing. I'm shooting off limbs everywhere. Right, okay. Let's dive out of here. Exit to main menu. And let's up some graphics. So now we are back on the main menu, going into the options. If I'm going to go and set up a custom preset, let's put things up to medium, as most things were on low, to be honest with you. So let's put most things up to medium. Still, let's see if it still holds at that 30 FPS mark during gameplay. Hopefully it will let me replay that same segment again. It does. So let's skip. Okay, so we are at 30 FPS. Things are looking a little nicer, especially in the distance. The flames seem to be producing a smoother effect. Yeah, it's not having any effect really on the frame rate whatsoever. Yeah, it's still looking very tidy. Let's run up to this guy. Let's give him a punch. I like that I'm just not affected by bullets. I suppose I am just pretty much a machine. But surely bullets after a while are going to cause a bit of a problem. So again, that held at 30 pretty nicely. So let's go back to the main menu again. And let's put it on high. So back on the main menu, jumping into the options screen again, just scrolling down to the graphics presets, sticking that on high, just showing that we've got chromatic aberration and motion blur I'd like switched off as well. Because motion blur in games is just... I don't like it. Don't particularly like motion blur in video games, so what are we getting now? 28, 27. So at a high graphic setting, we are dipping below the 25s. And I can actually feel it myself that I don't know if it's skipping frames or not, but it's certainly not running as smooth as it was when I was gaming at 30, put it that way. Medium, sorry, with a solid 30. But it's still relatively playable. It just does sort of start dipping when more things on the screen are happening at any one time. Like if all of the debris is falling off of the pillars or the walls, frame rate's dropping. But then saying that, it's not, I mean, we're not dipping down to 20s here. We're still staying mostly within the late 30s. So it's not like it's dipping down loads. Okay, so what I'm now just about to do is jump into my settings, go to go to properties, go to the compatibility, force the use of a specific compatibility tool, and I'm going to set it to Proton Experimental. Not sure what it was on in the past examples, but it's back on Proton Experimental, just to see if we can get that frame rate increased. Okay, so now we are back on the main menu. I am going to go into the options just to get the graphics preset just back down to a medium graphics preset for now. So our frame rate limit is set to 60, but the frame rate isn't going above 30, which I'm finding a little strange. Right, so now what I've done is inside the performance settings on the Steam Deck, I've set use per game profile, switch that on. Performance settings using Robocop Rogue City profile. Steam Deck allows you to adjust individual performance settings like refresh rate, frame rate. So okay, fair enough. So that seems to have pushed my game or my FPS to 40. So now we are in the game. We are starting to dive above that 30 FPS mark. Okay, not by much. if I look at the wall, we're going to see 47. But now that we look as if we're hitting slightly above that 30 FPS by hitting the 35s, the 37s. In terms of how it's feeling, it's not feeling like the smoothest game in the world, of course, but it is not a huge difference from keeping that locked at 30 compared to the 30, 35 or whatever, 32, 35, 37. So there's not a massive amount of difference, to be honest with you. But still, I'm definitely all about the biggest frame rate that we could get. Again, the frame rate tends to drop when things are going on. So at the moment, as you can see now, we're at 45. But anyway, we're at 40 FPS at the moment, or 38, 39, 40, when things aren't actually going on the screen. So that is pretty good. And we're at a medium graphics preset as well. So now we're back on the main menu. What I just quickly want to test is if we go into our options, go down to our graphics presets and just set that down to low to see if we get an increase of FPS on a lower graphical preset than medium. No, not really. Everything just looks a little bit... It looks a little bit sharper, especially around the back there, but then you are losing... You just lose all of the atmospheric effects, like the smoke and things like that. But, I mean, frame rate is still, depending on what you're looking at, hitting the 46s. If there's anything moving in the scene, it doesn't tend to like it. And it does dip straight back down to the 30s. But if there's nothing moving really in the scene, you start to see those near 40s. There you go, 41, 43. so yeah. But then you are, from the medium graphical preset, you are losing image, a bit of image quality there. Especially with the draw distances. If you're not bothered about that, or you want something a little bit sharper, I wonder if I can recreate it here. So that's the scene we've got in front of us at the moment. If I now go down to my options and change that to medium, as then the view distance is on medium, shadows medium, textures effects off, everything unlimited, that's off as well. Turn that on, you get like the hazy fog effects. Get out of the way. You get those nice hazy smoke fog effects, which I don't know if that's up to you if you want that as part of your game, but it does give it a little bit more atmosphere rather than just fire without the smoke. Plus, to be honest with you, I don't know about you, but it's doing a little wonders for the frame rate. 41, 42 FPS. If I now go down to a graphics preset, a low graphics preset, and go back into the game. Oh, okay. All right. It's staying around roughly the same, but you lose all of that haze and fog and smoke effects. One more thing we could try and have a look at is if we change AMD FSR 2.2 to balanced, just to see if we can increase that frame rate a little bit more. We are still using a medium graphical preset. So this is now at a balanced FSR. And to be honest with you, I am not really noticing a huge difference from when we had our FSR set to quality, although we are still hitting around the 40 FPS mark, 41. I think the fire is a big thing for graphics, although that section of the game, I don't really know why, was very a lot lower than this section of the game for some reason. Yeah, okay. Oh, we nearly went up to 50 then for the frame rate, but that's not too bad. And now I just want to give you a side-by-side demonstration on what medium looks like compared to low graphical preset settings. I've still got the everything else set the same, so the FSR is still set to balanced to try and give me as much FPS as possible, but I don't think in this case you're going to be getting really above 40. Sorry, yeah, above 40, mid 40s FPS. But I don't think that's a bad thing, to be honest with you. It's a single player experience. If the rest of the game is... I haven't played the rest of the game, by the way. I've literally just ran this, this opening segment several times to give you a demonstration on the different graphical presets on what you can expect from this game. And at this time, if the rest of the game... If the rest of the game is like this, then it's not going to need to be 60 FPS. It's not going to need to be the smoothest experience in the world. You're just going to want it to... You're going to want it to be just as good looking as possible, right? So that's what this game has... that's what this game has offered us. That's what the Steam Deck has offered us on this game. Robocop Rogue City on the Steam Deck, I must say, it actually ran much better than I was actually expecting, especially on a medium preset. You can boost those shadows if you are running a low graphics preset, boost the shadows up to medium, just to give you a bit of atmospheric effects. That worked really well. And also, if you are running AMD FSR 2.2, then balanced or quality, it pretty much ran exactly the same. I would say if you wanted to really push those frame rates to the maximum, use it in a balanced mode. But if you want a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more shine, a little bit more graphics to your game of Robocop on the Steam Deck, then definitely use it in that quality setting. In terms of the performance, get onto the actual Steam performance window and change it to in-game profile. That made my frame rate skyrocket past, say skyrocket, not really skyrocket, move slightly past the locked 30 FPS mark, which was pretty cool to see. And it was hovering around that 35 to 40, maybe a little bit over, especially that first segment of the game that we played through when there wasn't as much going on. The frame rate did seem to increase. Also, don't forget to turn on Proton Experimental as well, because that did make a difference again to the frame rate. So with all of that in mind, I'd like to say thank you very much for checking out this video. If you did enjoy it, please hit that like button, subscribe to keep up with our latest tech and gaming videos, and also let us know in the comments down below what you think about Robocop Rogue City on the Steam Deck. Is it something that you would pick up to play through, or are you going to give it a miss and go for something else? I don't know. As I say, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.